англійською переходимо, правда?
Так.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for joining today, and for those who not joined, you also welcome. And I hope this presentation really will be useful for you at some point or in your life, on your career. And yeah, maybe not now, but at some day, maybe it will be useful for you, I hope. So our topic today is ISTQB Advanced Level Test Manager, for whom, why, and how. And what I want to cover today is like idea of the test manager certification, of getting this certificate, and for you to decide if it's for you, actually, why you need it, and if you need it, and if you need it, then how to be prepared to it the best way. So a bit about me. Let me introduce myself. I'm from Dnipro, Ukraine originally, but now I'm like traveling Europe, let's say, but originally I am from Dnipro. And I have already more than 12 years of experience in software testing, starting from junior, and now I work as a QMO Competence Manager. QMO is Quality Management Office in SoftServe, and this is in-house center or testing center of excellence. So we work on standards and everything that connected to quality control engineer's career and everything that connected to it. I was involved during my career to more than 10 projects, so I have some different experience, and more than 6 projects, I guess, if I count it right. I was in the role of QC lead or test manager. And getting closer to today's topic, I have 3 ISTQB certificates: foundation level certificate, advanced level test analyst, and advanced level test manager. And that's why I'm talking today about one of these certifications. So what we are going to cover, namely, we are going to start with general information about ISTQB exam, its structure. About business outcomes, it's really important to know what outcomes you're going to have. And so I'm going to share some preparation tips, my experience, and some useful links for you, so you can stop browsing for this, I don't know, ideas for this mock test and everything. So you can have everything that might help you in one place. And let's start from the general information. And I'm sorry, I wanted to say that it will take about 40-45 minutes. And if you have any question, we will be able to discuss them after this main part. So I hope you will have some, so use the opportunity to ask them. So general information about ISTQB. I really doubt that you or any of you hear nothing about ISTQB, so probably you hear something. And maybe even some of you have already any ISTQB certificates. So put plus into the chat or say it if you have some ISTQB certificates, and maybe even you have test manager certificate and you're just curious or here to say that you did it, that I did it wrong, maybe. So if you want, you can share it in the Zoom chat. If you have any of ISTQB certifications. Let me check. Yeah, foundation level, it's a very good start. Thank you, Irina, for sharing. And Evgenia also, thank you. Yeah, Oksana. It's a really good start for the foundation level, Lily as well. So that's we will discuss it, but you probably know that it's one of prerequisites actually to have this certificate to be able to pass test manager. So you know what ISTQB is, but I am going to share some maybe interesting facts. At least for me, it was interesting to know this information, that we all know that this International Software Testing Qualification Board that it's a worldwide leader in the certification, and it truly is, because even like talking to clients from US, for example, they all know ISTQB. They have a different branch of it. It's American Software Testing Qualification Board at ISTQB, but it's the same. It's the same certification, the same exams. So they all know about it. And also in Europe, as I see now, like doing my job, I was browsing a lot of vacancies in Europe to see what people, what other companies want, and what do they require. And a lot of requirements were connected to having at least one ISTQB certificate. And for example, for test manager position, a lot of companies require test manager certificate. So it's really something that is recognized worldwide. I wouldn't, I don't know, I know nothing about Asia region, for example, because I didn't research it, but for most popular regions, we have all clients from these regions. Normally it's Europe and US. It's definitely something that people know, and client know, and other testers know. I was surprised that ISTQB based on volunteer work. So hundreds of international testing experts make something to improve it, to make it happen, to evolve, for this certification to evolve. So it's something that is done by volunteers. I'm not sure if no one gets anything from it, like any money or something, but it's based on volunteer work. And the first software tester was certified back in 1998. I don't know about you, but I was at school back then. So, and the first testers were already certified with ISTQB certificate. I'm curious what it was like, what it liked back then, but probably it was much different. But anyway, it was like the first ISTQB certificate. And now actually ISTQB covers about 130 countries. And 2 years ago, I was checking this information when I actually passed the certification. It was 198 or 28, 128 or 9 or something like this. So it's growing a bit. So they are expanding. And number of exams people took more than 1 million. So it's really impressive. And not all of them were successful, let's say. So number of certification issues, now it's 836,000 of certificates. Can you imagine that there are maybe not that many people, maybe someone has certificated me or even more. It's all totally possible. I will show you how many of them it's possible to gain. So, but still, it's really huge amount of people and huge amount of certificates. This is about like general information. What is also interesting is a structure, because it's a bit changed lately, and you might not see this new structure, but we today is talking about this. I was trying to highlight it, but I was too gentle, so maybe it's not that highlighted, but you will see. So most of you have probably the certified TESTL foundation level certificate, right? And this is the basis for all of them. You cannot take any of them if you don't have the certified TESTL foundation level certificate. So it's a really nice basis for everything you want. And there are three pillars. The first one is Agile certificate. So after taking this foundation level, you can gain also foundation level Agile tester. Actually, probably you can have it even without foundation, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that you should have this foundation level certificate tester anyway. But after taking this Agile tester exam, you can take advanced level Agile. This is something new, actually. Last year, I didn't see this new exams. So now you can be agile technical tester and agile test leadership, also interesting. And if we're going to core direction, so we're talking about after certified tester foundation level, you can take advanced level exams, which are test manager, test analyst, and technical test analyst. And it's not mentioned here, but there is one more advanced level certificate, which is called full advanced level. And you can have it if you have all 3 advanced level certificates. I know people that did it, but it's probably motivating for someone. So if it motivates you, you can think about that. And what is interesting, after advanced level, you can take even more certificates, and I have no idea what's inside this expert level certificate. So this is something I want to explore. And maybe the next time I will share something from that, because it looks even more complicated than test manager, because every level consists of several exams. For example, to have this improving test process certificate, you should pass 2 exams. Actually, you should have 2 certificates, both assessing test processes and implementing test processes improvements. And also both exams consist of 2 parts. So it's another level of completeness, let's say. And there is third pillars, some special certificates. I don't know anyone who has that. So I'm not sure if it's popular. Probably it's popular in some specific companies or some specific domains, or some maybe in some product companies. But if to talk about big service companies, like for example, I work for SoftServe. It's a big service company, so we have super different projects, but even in our company with super different projects, I don't know anyone who has this one of the specialist certificates. And actually, as I know, for different parts, for different items, there are more special certificates, not ISTQB, so maybe they are more popular even. And today we are talking only about this advanced level test manager in the center. It's one of the steps to this super hard expert level, probably, or it might be the last certificate you will ever want to pass or something, but we'll see. It depends on your desire. So important part about, and I will explain why it's important and what are business outcomes of getting this advanced level test manager certificate. Why do you need business outcomes? Like first of all, for you, definitely. Like if you will see that you will what knowledge you will gain, and what knowledge maybe you will practice, and you can then apply to your project, to your work. But more of that, if for example you work in a company who can reimburse your certification costs, and you need to justify why do you need it for your project, for example, you can use this list to not to ask ChatGPT, for example, like generate me why my company should cover my certification. But probably you should try it also. I should try it. But you can use this list, and you can justify like, okay, dear manager, I have I need to pass this certification because this is what I will learn. This is how I will be. This what value I will bring to our project and everything, etc., etc. So the first one is what advanced test manager can. Advanced test manager can manage the testing project. If you already thinking about passing the certification, probably you already have this experience of managing a testing project. If not, then it's really better to gain this experience before passing the certification. It will be much, much easier for you. The next item that test manager can, it's organize and lead risk identification and risk analysis section. Sessions, sorry. And actually in this exam, they they really they really put in a lot of attention on risk section. So, but not like just identification of risk, but risk-based test strategies, for example. So they have a lot of questions, and it's really a big part of this certification, this work with risks. So it's pretty important and interesting. The next is create and implement test plans. It's easy one, actually. For example, at SoftServe, we expect it from every lead, so they know how to create and implement test plans, and even from starting from I don't know, middle engineer, they also should have some knowledge and at least be able to update some separate section of test plans or something like this. So it's an easy one, but and you probably as a person who has some experience in test leadership and test management, you probably did it, so you know how to do it. But anyway, like organizing your knowledge is always works better. Then the next part about metrics, our favorite part, it's continuously monitoring and control the test activities. So also, if you have experience in test management, this is part that you cannot avoid anyhow, and if you avoid it, it means that you need the certification definitely, because it's something really important, and they also pay attention to this part and this certification. The next one is assess and report the status to project stakeholders. It's also just one day-to-day work of a test manager, obviously. The next part about skills of a team. It's interesting because it's more about people management, but technical leadership, because you should be able to identify gaps that your people in your team has and plan some skill ups for them and plan some education for them, so they can so you know what to expect from your team, and you know how they should grow and what value should they bring to your project. The next one is propose a business case for test activities. It sounds more complicated than it is, because it's simply about selling testing. So they pay some attention to cost of quality, for example. So you should be able to calculate cost of quality and come to your client and say, hey, you see how profitable for you to have a testing team, for example, and we should, I don't know, have a testing team of this size in order to be the most successful, for example, and it will bring this amount of money to you. So because business usually understands this money language, so you as a test manager should be able to sell the testing, and you should be able to calculate all this money and then share to stakeholders, because they don't understand this general terms usually, like improving quality or something. It means nothing for them, but you will save this amount of money, it will work. The next one is ensure proper communication. It's more about soft skills. So yeah, definitely testers and especially testing leadership, test manager, they are usually ensuring proper communication within test team and between test team and other stakeholders. So about the dev part of the team, project management, business stakeholders, and everyone who are involved. And the interesting part is also its participation in test improvement initiatives, and not only participation, but leading this test process improvement initiatives. They will pay attention to all these test improvement models like TMMI, for example, and other. There are a lot of them, and some companies have its own test maturity models, let's say, for example. I don't know, I think that a lot of big companies should have it. For example, we at SoftServe, we have separate our own test maturity model, let's say, and we are assessing project according to it. Sure, it's aligned with some general maturity models, but and it's based to the world to best practices and everything, but still it's maturity model, and it's a really valuable information to have if you are a test manager. So you understand where is your processes, where are your processes, on which level of this maturity model. So are they mature enough, and what you should do to make it more mature. So this is it about general vision of what you should learn, or what you should, what you can do, or what work can you perform after you pass the certification, or even before. And this certification just show that, okay, yes, this person really can do it. So the prerequisites. First, definitely and obviously is having ISTQB foundation level certificate. And the second one is sufficient practical experience, which sounds not clear for me, for example. I don't know how they evaluate if you have sufficient practical experience or not. For probably if you have for some amount of years ISTQB foundation certificate, they won't have any questions. No one asked me if I have sufficient practical experience, but I passed the certification in the SoftServe certification center. I don't know, maybe they are responsible for checking it as a vendor who provide the certification, and they could check it because I work at SoftServe for 11 years or something. So it's I hope it's sufficient practical experience. But somehow they might check it, and but even for you, if you don't have sufficient practical experience, it will be super hard and not totally useless, but not really valuable if you pass the certification without this experience. For example, you just started your career and you want to have as many certificates as possible, and you're passing foundation level, and then go, okay, I can do it. I will pass test manager and learn everything by heart, which is, by the way, doesn't work here, but I will mention it later. But anyway, you had some luck and magic to pass the certification without practical experience. It won't be super valuable for you. So definitely you should have sufficient practical experience, at least some test management, some test leadership experience, at least some. No one say it should be 10 years, for example. 5 will work, I think. So some details about test manager exam. This is super general information that you can find on a web page about this exam, but maybe I will shed the light a bit, because not everything was in one place before. Now they a bit improved their page, so it's more user-friendly and it's more readable now, but still. So number of question is 65, the same as in the foundation level and advanced level test analyst, for example. But what is the biggest difference from foundation level, for example? The biggest difference is that mostly these questions are scenario based. So if someone tried already, I don't know, to pass some mock exams or to look at these questions that are in the internet about from the test manager exam, you probably notice it. So you normally have some huge scenario, and then you like the question, what you should do in this case, for example. I will show you, I have one example of one like typical, more or less typical question that you will face, and they are really big, but there no worries, there is approach how to read them and how to make it not that stressful for you. Passing score is 65%, but it's not, you cannot say that it's like 43 right answers will make it done. No. There are different level of questions. While you prepare, you can see what level of information it is in the syllabus, for example. Even when they normally have this marks also, that this is information K2, this is K3, this K4. Because K4 is something that will give you the most the most points. So 3 points per K4, question, 2 points per case 3 question, and only 1 point if you answered correctly for K2 question, for example. And the general number of points you should gain is 115. But you can gain, sorry, it's 115, but you should, as minimum, you should get 75. So really knowing how many points you will get after which question can help you. For example, you can skip several questions with K2, but pay more attention to K4 question in order to have more points. So it's really nice to know when you're preparing, so you will be more confident. And if you, for example, don't have a lot of time for preparation and you want to prioritize it somehow, this is a good approach of prioritization. So to know that, okay, all this information that goes by case 3, I should put at the first place. I should know it the best, and all these items that are for K2, I can left for the last moment, for example. That's what I do usually, and I probably there are people like me who put something at to the last moment. Exam length, it's 3 hours normally, but you can get an extension for non-native speakers. It will be plus 25%, but you should be careful here and consult your vendor. A vendor is like this organization or certification center who will provide you this exam, because sometimes you need to request, and normally, as I understood, you need to request it in advance, even before you register into exam. And you should write a letter to some lady, they have it on the instruction. So you should write a letter and they should approve your time extension. Because I know it well, because I didn't do it. I registered first and then I got the information that I should have applied to this extension before, and so I didn't get it, and I had only 3 hours. But frankly speaking, it was enough. But it was enough for me. We all have a different pace, so it's better to have it. And when you register into this exam, it's better to have it, and it's better to pay attention when you should apply for this time extension for non-native speakers. And interesting part also about the structure of exam. So it consists of 7 big topics. And some of these topics are more important, let's say, some of them a bit less important. And for example, I can say for sure that there are the most questions after from test management section, from the second section. And this section you will have, I don't know, I'm not sure about half, but at least sort of all, like 30% at least of all questions will be from test management, maybe even more. And from the subtopics of this section, the most will be from risk-based testing. So they really love this topic, this part in this exam. So if you short on time, you can, first of all, you should focus on test management section, definitely, and from test management section to risk-based testing. Definitely, it won't be enough, but it's a good start to prioritize maybe your learning activities and your preparation activities. So apart from test management, there are testing processes. It's actually general, like this process, you already familiar with it after foundation level, the normal test process, but maybe with more details and with perspective of a test manager, not an engineer, but test manager. In test management, you also have test documentation, estimation, metrics, business value, which is also nice and important, and actually nice for any work. Also some small, it's a super small part about distributed outsourced and in-sourced testing. And if you work at in some software service company, you probably know this information, that it's nothing new actually. So it's also all can be understood by even on common sense. And managing the application of industry standards, it's about applications, for example, when they are regulated by law, like medical devices or something connected to insurance. You should know, like this insurance company, or any medications, military, and everything that can be managed by some industry standards. Reviews. For me, it was the most boring part in foundation level, but here they are talking more about not even the process of review, because you should know it from foundation level certification exam, but more about metrics. So how to measure if review process is effective, and how to improve if you see that it's not that effective. So it's pretty here. It's pretty interesting. I would say it's more interesting than in foundation level, but it depends. Maybe it was interesting for you even on the foundation level, but for me not. That's why I'm saying that. Defect management, definitely it's not about how to register defect, but it's more about some details on defect life cycle, reporting of defect, not particular defects, but defect report information, like accumulating of this information, and also assessing process connected to defects. Improving the testing process, this is about this CMMI, TMMI models, STEP, CTP, and everything. It's more, there is more general information about this, I would say, but without super deep details, definitely, because probably they expect it on an expert level. So here it's just, I would say, introduction to this understanding of these models, of the processes, but they will have questions in the test about this, and you should know some theoretical parts, like, for example, what levels does TMA my models have, for example, or what levels are in STEP model, if they have levels. I don't remember even. So you should have here got some theory in order to pass the certification. About test tool and automation, definitely not about how to automate, but how to recognize when automation is needed. It's something that test managers should know, even if they don't automate, and they normally don't automate, but they should know where they when they should start automation, and how to select a tool for testing, and how to what stage every tool selection goes through. For example, like that you should evaluate if you need this tool, and you should properly educate people, and etc., etc. And some section about people skills, because test manager is still manager, and including of managing testing team, so people. And all the section is about people, and you will have pretty interesting questions about matching right people to the right position, for example, to the right work, also case-based. And I like personally this section, so it's for me it was interesting and not boring at all, but it depends on you, and you should expect some questions from this section as well. And here I also added the number of questions they include from every chapter. So you can more or less understand what chapter you should pay more attention to. I got this information from some official document, but it was super hard to find on their website. So I put it here. So you don't need to browse all these PDF files they are sharing. I'm not sure even if they still share this file, but it was somewhere on the ISTQB site, and it's really and I really saw that it's like this. So the most questions was from test management, then from testing process, then from people skills, and then you can see that, for example, from improving the testing process, you will get only 3 questions, for example, and they will be probably more theoretical. However, it's possible that they will put some scenario based, but less than for other sections, I would say. And so I think this is it about exam structure. About preparation, the most interesting probably part. So from my experience, what I'm sharing is definitely only my experience, what worked for me. Maybe for you will different things work better, who knows, but for me, what worked well? First of all, getting experience in managing testing. Definitely, because even without any preparation, if you have experience in managing testing, you can pass at least half of this exam. Because these scenario-based questions, they are possible to answer based on the common sense. I know that common sense is the controversial term, so maybe there is no such thing as a common sense, but still, based on your experience, it's really possible to answer them, because you would understand, for example, that if someone doesn't have any skills in SQL, then you shouldn't assign this person to test some urgent task where SQL knowledge need, right? So I would say it's pretty common sense. So, but and maybe even without getting experience, but there are a lot of more questions when experience really will be valuable for you. The next is to read the general information about exam structure and content. That's what I shared with you. For me, it was super valuable to understand how many questions I would have from each chapter. So to know where I should put more attention, for example. So for me, it works. And you have it everything here already in this presentation, so you don't need to browse the internet in general for looking for this information. Then to read advanced level test manager syllabus. It's short. There are no many details there, but it might be enough. From my experience, I can share that I didn't. I read only a syllabus. I didn't read the whole book of the next from the next point. But if you feel that something is not really clear, or you feel like you need more information and more details, then it's really a good idea to go and find this advanced level testing volume 2 book. But by Rex Black. Probably you were, if you had a foundation level certificate, probably it was like the first foundation level of software testing was your handbook for preparation to foundation level certificate. And here is also exists this advanced level software testing volume 2. Why volume the second, probably, yes. Why the second volume? Because the first volume is for test analysts. It's advanced level software testing volume first, and it's for preparation to test an analyst exam, for different one. But this one, it's interesting. It's super huge. If you like it, you can read it if you find it somewhere. But actually, even without it, syllabus can be enough. So for me, it was mostly enough. And after every chapter, as you probably did during preparation to foundation level exam, you can try yourself answering sample questions. And I'm sharing here on the next slide some links that you can use. But also on the official ISTQB website, there are some sample questions. They are not exactly the same as you got on the exam. Personally, I didn't find exactly the same questions. As I understood later when I was passing the exam, but still it helps. It helps to prepare because because actually the next because of the next item, because when you are preparing to foundation level exam, it's really possible to cram questions. Cram means like to learn them by heart. To learn by heart the question and answer, question and answer. It is possible. It's not my approach, but I know people who did it. Here it's not possible because it's scenario based. There are a lot of scenarios, different one, and you will never remember all of it. So that's why it's really nice to try sample questions, but understanding and keeping in mind that it's not the exact question that you will get, but they will be similar. At least you will have practice on answering this question. And yeah, what is important is to understand of reason why the answer is correct or not correct. So when you playing with the sample questions, the most important for you is to understand what was the right answer and why. So the reason why will help you to answer correctly the next time when you have the real exam. And another tip, if you would like, there are some preparation courses. As I know, they exist even offline. I never attended any offline preparation course to prepare myself to ISTQB certification. For me, like online or even watching some videos or reading the book or reading the syllabus works better, but still. If you wish, there are a lot of courses and offline courses and online courses that you can take, and I even can recommend one that I passed preparing to this certification. I was watching one course on Udemy. Maybe you in your company even have some Udemy accounts or Udemy for Business or something like this. But if not, today I checked, it costs like $16 for this course, so it's not something super expensive. Yeah, they say that it costs 100 and only today it's 16, but the same was when I bought it, it was $10. So I don't believe it was any day cost really $100. So it was really nice video course. Basically, this guy was reading the syllabus, but he also gave some pretty nice advices on how to read questions, and it really worked for me. And for me, it also. I really can get the information when someone read it to me. For me, it works good. So I know that it doesn't work for anyone, for all the people. So if it works for you to listen to someone or to see some presentation, I don't know, with some text instead of reading, so you also can follow this approach and get this course. I also share in this link at the last slide to this course that I can definitely recommend because I passed it and it helped me a lot. And what I wanted to do the last probably is to show you the example of a question and how to analyze the question, how to read it, so you can answer it more. So it's easy. Because when I see personally such a huge question, I start panicking. So for me, it's like step 0 is start panicking, and step 0.1 it's stop panicking. So don't worry, there is approach that you can follow if you want to answer these questions, and it's even not the biggest one scenario. So normally they look like this. But it's K4, so it will give you 3 credits, and this is how you should approach this. So start from reading the question. Question itself, I here highlighted as the first, with a So the question here will be: which of the following answers best describes the test activities you should plan for? assuming it is possible to perform all of them. So this is the question. And you need to really pay attention to the question, because sometimes they use these tricks, and while you read in all of it, you can forget that it was they were asking, for example, for best scenario, or they were asking for worst scenario. So you should pay maximum attention to this first section, to the question itself. The next, you should read the scenario. So you should read and visualize in your head this scenario. For example, here it will be, so, okay, you're test manager of the project. This project wants to buy 2 third-party components, and you are worried about the quality of these components. So what should you do? Because everything that is here in this huge number of words, you can have in these several sentences. So two third-party components, you should test it somehow and understand how you approach this test, the best, plan the best test activities for this case. Then you will think about possible answers in your head without reading the options. It will be really easier. It works when you just think about possible solutions, and you think, okay, so third-party components, so I need to test somehow how they integrate it, maybe how they do some acceptance testing, maybe. So at least some ideas. And only then you should go to reading the answers. And you should read the answer carefully, one by one. And you should evaluate if they are correct or not, one by one. So the first one, for example, the first answer is you should plan for an informal and minimal acceptance tests. Okay, so you can stop here. Why informal and minimal acceptance tests if they say that you have possibility to perform all that you plan? So you're not limited in time. So why to do only informal and minimal acceptance tests, right? Okay, so probably this is not correct answer. We can go further. You should directly plan for a single end-to-end test focused on end-to-end test of the overall integrated system without an acceptance test. Okay, why? Why without an acceptance test? You are using some third-party components. Definitely not correct, right? The third answer is you should plan for 2 levels, a system integration test and end-to-end test of the overall integrated system. Looks legit, but one component is missed. Where is acceptance tests? So if to combine this one and acceptance test, it could be right. So let's go to the last one. And the last one is you should plan for adequate retesting of both the systems, followed by a system integration test and an end-to-end test. So yeah, for me, it sounds the best. And this is the example how you can approach this question, reading and answering the question. So the last item will be go one by one through these answers. And this is what I learned actually in this video course I took on Udemy. It was really helpful. At least for me, it really worked the best. So probably this is it about approaching the exam and this question. So here is the preparation useful links about general information that I already shared. Structure, content, syllabus, official sample questions, they all are now on one page on the ISTQB site, so you can find everything there. And I have also collected some free sample questions, not from ISTQB. I didn't check all of them thoroughly, but at least on a high level, I did check all of them, and I played with some of them as well while I was preparing. And also, I am sharing here a link to this Udemy course I can recommend that I passed. For me, it was super easy and nice because I was on a treadmill, jogging, and while watching this preparation course. For me, it worked the best, but I'm not sure how it worked for you. So If you want, you can share later what worked for you better. If you want, you can find me on LinkedIn, for example. So this is it from my side, probably. And if you have any question, I'm happy to answer them. I will stop sharing. No questions? Okay, then if there are no questions, I think we are done. And I guess we will share with you the presentation, yeah? Will it be possible?
Так, звичайно.
Супер.
Дякую щиро.
Всім дякую, тоді гарного вечора.
Дякую, па-па.
Па-па.